If you are someone who aspires to get into a position of power someday or is already in one, for example, being a manager, being a parent, being a teacher, this episode is for you. Now, there is something that I find particularly missing in almost all advices that people get or even ask for when they become managers or parents, etc. Or rather, let's just say when they assume a position of power. Now, I just don't mean position of power in the sense of political power. I mean when you can have considerable influence over the life of another person. So obviously becoming a parent is one, becoming a manager also is one, becoming a teacher is also another one, and also becoming a partner, to be really honest. So any relationship where you can have a considerable impact over the life of the other person, that is a position of power. It is a position of responsibility in some sense. And I find something particularly missing in almost every advice that these people receive, almost all of us receive. What do I mean when I say there's something missing? Let's say you become a parent and you want to know how to handle the baby, how to take care of the baby. Most of the advice and the trainings you would seek out and also receive, and the advices you'll receive from other people also, will almost always be around how to make the baby eat and sleep and poop and burp and all the rest of it. Much like how a new manager for a team gets to understand what are the different applications this team is working on, what are the different machineries, etc., and all the rest of it. And that is all needed, by the way. But if you probe deeper, if you ask people deeper questions on how to take care of the baby, I think almost all well-intentioned people who do not know what else to advise you will always tell you, just be natural and it will come to you. And that is where I find there to be a missing puzzle. This just be natural part is precisely where the problem lies. Because no one is their natural self. Or rather, no one is what the potential of their natural self is. Almost everyone is acting from a place of their ego, their limited self, their I, which by definition is limited. It's afraid of its surroundings. It is separated from everything else that life is all about. And it is a collection of all the different experiences and traumas and anxieties and depressions that it has gone through. If left unchecked, which is the natural state for almost all of us, it tends to inflict the same traumas on people we have power over now. And that doesn't always happen consciously. It's almost always out of good intentions, in fact. Just like that example of the monkey sitting on a branch of a tree, looking at a stream of river down, and it looks at a fish, picks it up and says, "Here, let me help you or else you'll drown," and puts it on the branch. Now, the monkey has good intentions, right? It wants to save the fish because that's what it thinks danger is. But out of its good intentions, it ends up killing the fish. This is almost exactly how it happens when we are parenting our children, which means parents behaving naturally in this sense will end up projecting their own fears on their children. For example, the fear of not having enough, the fear of not being enough, etc. They will end up restricting their children into becoming exact model replicas, obedient model replicas of themselves, or their ideals, whatever their ideals are. They will end up exhibiting the same traits of their own parents, even the traits that they didn't like themselves when they were children. You've seen that happen with Joey and Rachel in Friends.
Oh my God, wait, did I just said greens don't quit, didn't I? Did I just say greens don't quit?
Yes,
Oh,
you did, and you're still yelling at me.
No, I'm not yelling at you. I'm just yelling near you. Oh God, Joey, oh, I'm my father. Oh my God, this is horrible. I've been trying so hard not to be my mother. I did not see this coming.
You've seen that happen with Mitchell and Claire in Modern Family. And I'm sure you've seen that happen in and around you too. We become the parents we didn't want ourselves when we were children. And why do you think that happens? That primarily happens because when your parents became parents, they had good intentions, very similar to you. But they never worked on themselves. They never let go of their own conditioning, which is what will happen to you too. Or one more issue I foresee happening, at least in my generation, is that in the wake of being modern, you become so extremely loose that you do not guide your children even where you could have guided them. And this is something I foresee happening, like I said, in my generation and also in the generations to come. And why does this happen? This happens primarily because the major advice that everyone misses out on is work on yourself. Become self-aware. Become more aware of your own conditioning and let go, unlearn those conditionings. Meditate on your thoughts, think about your thoughts. Think whether what you're thinking, how you're thinking is actually right. Unlearn the attachments to all of those parts of yourself that limit you and also others around you. Work on it. If you work on yourself, if you are a self aware person, if you can view the world from a lens of love rather than a lens of hatred, jealousy, separation, ego, me versus you, etc., then and only then will my advice to you be to be natural with people you have control over. Until then, my advice to you would be, my primary advice to you would be, work on yourself. If you were able to draw the analogy, it's almost the same when you become a manager in your workplace too. If you're someone who almost always acts predominantly from a place of his ego, his limited self, you will become the manager you hated when you were an employee. Of course, degrees change, degrees matter, but I hope you get the gist. A very simple example. If you are someone who cares a lot, who worries a lot about what his boss thinks of him or what his boss thinks of his team, when you become a boss, you would want your employees to think a lot about what your perception is of them, right? And if you think about it, if you talk to any sane person in the room, he will tell you that this is a slippery slope to fall into. This slope of trying to control what other people's perceptions are of you and working for it. Because, especially for a person who's biased, especially for a person who's too attached to his own ego, this is a slippery slope to fall into. And you will become the person who makes his employees fall into that slope. Now then, I would want to end this episode by talking about a few books I would recommend in this context of working on yourself. Why books, if you ask? Well, because I love books, because I think books work, because I think they're a good time away from your screens, and because books such as the ones I'm about to recommend you gave me the perspectives on life that the natural me would never have gained naturally. So I think you should read these books. So here goes. For people who aren't heavy readers yet, I would recommend The Prophet by Khalil Gibran. You know, it's almost just 100 odd pages, and I'm always surprised as to how could someone carry so much depth in just 100 pages. And this guy actually did that. So if you aren't a heavy reader yet, just check out this book, and I'm sure it'll inspire more reading in you. For parents, I would definitely recommend reading this one, The Book of Children by Osho. Now, I am planning to do a complete review of this book. I'm not sure if I've already done it by the time you're watching this video. If I have, the link would be down below in the description. If not, do check out this book. It's a brilliant book. The third book I would recommend is The Courage to be Disliked by Ishiro Kishimi and Fumitake Koga. I've actually done a complete review / summary of this book. The link would be available in the description below. Do check it out and also read this book. My next recommendation is of course one of my favorite books, Thinking Fast and Slow by Dan Kahneman. This is a beautiful book to understand how your mind works. Not your brain, but your mind. How your cognitive biases work, how your thinking works. It's a beautiful book. And if it resonates with you, I have actually done a complete section dedicated to cognitive biases on this channel. Make sure you check it out. The link would be down below in the description. And finally, The First and Last Freedom by Uncle JK, Jiddu Krishnamurti. I think everyone should experience and understand the first and last freedom he talked about in this book. So that's about it then. The Amazon links to all of these books would be available in the description below. They are all affiliate links. So that means if you buy books via those links, the affiliate revenue generated helps to support this channel. So make sure you check out those books and buy them from those links below. Now, this isn't an exhaustive list, of course. I keep reviewing books on my channel. So make sure you check out the book club that I have running here, where I talk about a lot of different books and I give them reviews as well as summaries for the lazy ones who still won't read the books that I recommend. Well, okay then. I hope this gave you something to think about, something to unlearn, something to act on. I hope this was of value to you. If you haven't subscribed to the channel, subscribe. Like this video, share this episode with as many people as you can, and I'll see you in the playground the next time. Until next time, peace out.